Hey friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to the channel. It's been kind of a long week. We've had a lot of wrestling. This past weekend, we had our first Church of Friendos stream over on our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Steven Larson. It was a lot of fun, but that's kind of the reason why I haven't been uploading more this past week, because of all that. So I'm going to get back on it, and I figure what better way to get back on it than to take some time and answer a couple of your questions. I put up a question thread in the community tab like 2 weeks ago, and I figure I'd go ahead and read some of these questions. First up from Lego Brick Collector. If you had full creative control of Raw, what 5 changes would you make to save the show? Okay, I'm going to answer these as quickly as possible. 5 things. Number 1, introduce factions. Number 2, start every episode with a half hour, like 20-minute long match and a couple of like 5-minute segments surrounding that match in order to make that first half hour go by pretty quickly. So you start the episode with the banger, and then the main event, you start the entrances 35 minutes before the hour, before the actual episode ends, so that you get a good 25-minute match in that show. That's 3 things. So I've got 2 more things. I would drastically cut down on interviews. So like all the times they go backstage and they interview somebody for like the 5th time, like Drew McIntyre, I would say, no, we're not doing that anymore. You only do an interview if you need to advance a story point. Not, hey, let me get your thoughts on that. For challenges, for story beats, whatever. That's the only time you do interviews, is when it needs to happen. The other thing I would do, it's my own personal predilection, I'd rehire Jim Johnston to do a new theme songs and a new intro, because I don't think that the intro song really gets me all hyped up for Raw. So yeah, do that. I don't want like that Attitude Era theme song back. Darn it. All right, moving on. That was a great first question to start off with, and that was only 2 minutes. White Brownie, which match types do you hope make it in 2K22? He says, also as a content creator, what's something you want from both 2K22 and the AEW video game that can provide usefulness for your channel? I'm a big fan of the more customization, the better. From 2K22, number 1, I want them to do this. Go back to the reversal being R1, R2, R trigger, or L, whatever it was before they did the triangle. I don't like the triangle. I want the other ones. And then, yeah, just more customization. Custom story modes come back from 2K14 or WWE 14, whatever it was called. Bring that back, because I really liked all the custom stories that people would make and then upload. And then from AEW, same thing. If they have the same sort of game engine as the N64 games, that's awesome. I love that. I think that's great. I think they should focus more on gameplay and not as much as making it look like next-gen graphics. I don't really care about the graphics. I think the graphics are whatever. As long as it's fun to play, that's all I care about. And again, full customization, that's what I want to see. Mike Tobin, was there a time you were worried that going in Raw just wasn't going to work? And when did you realize that it was going to work? So we launched the Going in Raw Patreon in 2016. I think it was in the first quarter of that year, which was about a year after me and Larson had got laid off. If you guys don't know my history with all that stuff, that's fine. It's been a long time. And if you're new here, you might not even know that I have a whole other channel called Going in Raw with my best friend Larson. That's where we review all the stuff. It's a podcast. So what happened there was we got laid off from this other company called Machinima back in 2015. And we tried to sort of figure out what we were going to do. We dealt with primarily video game stuff. And then the next year in 2016, we launched the Going in Raw Patreon and decided, hey, we're just going to go all in on the wrestling stuff here on YouTube and do a podcast out of it and make videos. And so we did that. And I never really thought it wasn't going to work. I didn't know was going to work until it started working, which was pretty soon after the Patreon. When we launched the Patreon, it was still in sort of the early days of people doing stuff on Patreon. And so when we launched that, we were like, wow, overnight, we did pretty good on the Patreon. So there's a demand for it. And then a couple months later, we had our first wrestling video hit pretty big. It was when Paige had some run-in with the cops in Las Vegas, and Alberto Del Rio, I think, was involved. And that one, it was like a news brief we did, and it blew up. And that sort of launched the channel. More videos started doing better, and we started doing more videos. And so ever since then, it's been, ups and downs. But at no point have I ever felt, oh man, this is really not working. This is like falling out. It was kind of scary when the YouTube adpocalypse thing happened. That was kind of freaky, but it was fine. Like we got through it. We have a great team that helps us over at Studio 71 book all those ads on Going in Raw. So it was awesome. Jose Alaguna, what are your true feelings about Machinima? And if given a chance, you would revive it? I would have no interest in reviving Machinima because I don't like it. Wouldn't do anything for me. So, but my true thoughts on Machinima. I loved it. I loved my time there. It helped me and Larson establish our audience. It helped me learn how to do stuff on camera, and I became a better editor and a better performer and speaker of words. And we got to do it on somebody else's dime. I got paid to do something that was really cool. And then when all was said and done and they let us go, we had an audience that we can then figure out, hey, how do we bring these people along for the ride with us? And we were able to do that successfully. So I've got nothing but good feelings about Machinima. I thought that as a company, they really had piss poor management, because like, how do you have so much talent in one company and you just let it all go to waste? They were never focused on what they had in-house. They always were trying to go for that home run over there in greener pastures, and they had everything they needed for success right under their nose, and they just let it go. So as a company, really poorly run. As a personal experience, I loved every second of it. I thought it was absolutely great. Arshan Asadi says, any chance for Larson to start his own YouTube channel, maybe about shoes? I would love that. I know he has said that the shoe thing is a bit pricey to get into as a YouTube channel. I feel like he should totally do it. But I understand where he's coming from. He's also said he's not huge on performing in front of a camera solo, which I understand as well. It's not for everybody. I personally like it. He doesn't. So I'd never want him to be in a position where he's uncomfortable. But anytime he does stuff solo, I'd be totally down for it. I've told him, man, I'll push that stuff to the moon because I think it'd be great for him. But if you don't want to do it, you want to do it. Let's see here. STICKMANSAN asks, I'm in that professional/job rut. What would you say to, he says he's kind of a media type human. So maybe like, it's kind of same stuff that I do. He says, what would you say to a 28-year-old who's trying to figure out things after the pandemic era? Thanks for all the content over the years. I would say you're 28. When I was 28, I was in a job I hated, and I had no direction. I was trying to do comic books at the time, and I was failing at them pretty miserably, although I had a really fun time doing them. And I got, I actually made some comic books. You can buy them at mfshophere.com. If you want to buy my comic books, you can. I would say figure out what job it is you really, really want, and then pursue that with everything you have. I know in today's digital space, that answer might be, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to do like what you do, Steve. And that's sometimes a difficult sell. That's a difficult thing to do. So maybe while you're doing that, like WrestleJuice is my side gig. And I do spend 40 hours a week on Going in Raw, at least. I sometimes more than that, sometimes less. And in my spare hours, I do WrestleJuice stuff. So maybe find a company that you think you'd enjoy working for, that maybe is a company that does media type stuff on something that you're passionate about. Like if you're really into basketball, go try to find a job with, I don't know, the NBA or TNT or ESPN or something, right? Or like if there's like a local college basketball program, see if they have a media department. So find whatever it is that you're into, try to find a gig even on the bottom floor. When I first moved back here, while I was working with Machinima, I have a friend who works in the Sacramento Kings, and I was like, hey, you got a job? He was like, yeah, but it's sort of like you're overqualified for it. It doesn't pay very well. I'm like, I don't care. I just want to get my foot in the door. He was like, okay, job's yours if you want it. So sometimes you got to, lower your expectations for what you might get in the moment to build your career up even higher. So that's what I would suggest. I know it's difficult times out there, but a lot of companies, there's more media content now. There's more content creation now going on in the professional ranks than ever. So there might be more jobs out there for you. So I would say give that a shot. Let's see here. Here we go. Interesting question here from the Enforcer. What's the fastest you've been in a car as a driver and as a passenger? I don't know if I've ever been in a car that's broken 100 miles an hour. I don't think so. I don't think I've ever been in a car. I've never been in a really, really super fast car before. I've never driven past, I'd say, probably 88 miles an hour because I get freaked out by speed. I don't want to wreck. I don't want to be James Dean, man. I want to wreck my car and then die. Let's see here. Daniel Carpenter, what are the wrestlers that you could care less about outside the ring, but the moment they step in between the ropes, you are captivated by them? Outside the ring, I'm going to give you a couple answers here. 2 answers, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly. Their characters outside the ring do nothing for me whatsoever. Absolutely nothing for me. As soon as those 2 guys step foot in the ring, I can't take my eyes off them. I think they're really terrific wrestlers, especially Roderick Strong. I think he's like one of my favorite wrestlers to watch. Ember Moon also. Whenever I know I'm going to get an Ember Moon match, I'm all about it. As soon as she steps outside and gets on the mic, I just don't connect with her character. I don't know. I just don't feel it. But when she's inside in between the ropes, I think she's absolutely terrific. Let's see here. Marky Mark, couple non-wrestling questions. What movies are you looking forward to, and what are your top 5 favorite movies? I'm looking forward to the next Paul Thomas Anderson movie because I'm a huge fan of his. There Will Be Blood is one of my favorite movies of all time. So is Boogie Nights. I'm looking forward to the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. That's going to be really, really good. And then anything that comes out of Marvel, the MCU, I love all that stuff. I don't really keep up to date on movies or what's coming out as much as I used to, but that's what I'm looking forward to. Drew Austin, is Larson burning out when it comes to wrestling commentary, and is WrestleJuice here to be your backup if he decides he doesn't want to do Going in Raw anymore? What a conspiracy-laden question that is. No, absolutely not. WrestleJuice exists because Lacey, my wife, got sick and tired of her job, and I was like, hey, we do okay. Why don't you just leave your job and you can focus on what you love to do, your jewelry. So go check out lacedgems.com. It's her jewelry shop online. She does terrific wire wrap jewelry. Go check that out if you want to give a gift to somebody. But because she left her job and she's here at home, she can help out with Alabama when she's here. So I now have a lot more free time so that you see more of me here on WrestleJuice, and I get to, in exchange, make a little bit of that YouTube revenue on the side from Going in Raw. I don't think Larson's getting burnt out by wrestling commentary, although I don't want to speak for the guy. I know him pretty well, and I work with him literally every day. We text each other every single day. I think there was a period, especially during pandemic, when wrestling was really shitty and there was no fans and those Raws were unbearable, that we were both getting really burnt out on doing Mondays. And that sort of sets the tone for the week. Monday Night Raw, watching it and reviewing it right afterwards really was a bad idea. At first it was a good idea, but as it got worse and worse, we didn't recognize how bad of an idea it was, because that show is a chore to watch from beginning to end if you're not recording it and fast forwarding through commercials and recaps and stuff, which is what I do now. We wait till the next day to watch it or to recap it. We're both a lot happier. I feel like he's less burnt out now than he was during some of the pandemic months, and because I feel that way for me anyways, and I feel like sometimes professionally we're on the same page and we have kind of the same tolerance for stuff like that. So no, I don't feel like he's doing that. And number 2, if he decided to leave Going in Raw for whatever reason, I would try to maybe rebrand a little bit, get a different co-host. I mean, probably the Enforcer. I'd be like, hey, well, what would it take for you to leave your job? and come be the co-host to Going in Raw. But I don't know, man. Going in Raw is me and Larson. So maybe I would just absorb that into WrestleJuice, because it would be like Going in Raw is no longer Going in Raw, because like Larson's not there. So no, I've never considered WrestleJuice as a possibility for being a backup to Going in Raw, because I expect Larson to be there every single day doing Going in Raw stuff. And if he decides to leave, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But I do not think he has any plans on leaving Going in Raw at any time soon. So yeah, I think we're both very happy doing what we're doing, and yeah, I certainly hope that he's happy. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this AMA. For now, there's more questions on this thing, so I'll do another one, maybe another week or so. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate it. Check out one of these other videos. I did one of these AMAs a little while back. So thanks everybody. Till next time, I'll talk to you later.